Hi everyone, and welcome to this tutorial on playing a solo guitar arrangement of All the Things You Are. All the Things was written by Jerome Kern in 1939 and it was from the musical Very Warm for May, which had mixed reviews at the time and didn't last very long, but the song has endured. The form of this tune is slightly unusual. It's a variation on the usual AABA 32-bar form. It begins in A flat, modulates to E flat in the second A, and then the bridge modulates to G and then E before going back to A flat for the last A. That's lots of key changes for an AAB standard. That means it has lots of colours built in and it sounds great with simple chords. One more quirk, the last A is 12 bars long instead of the usual 8. It's not a tag in the sense of a tune like Star Eyes or Blame It On My Youth, it's just an extra 4 bars that are woven into the fabric of the tune. There's countless versions of All the Things to check out. Great guitar versions include Joe Pass on the Virtuoso album, Jim Hall and Pat Metheny, and Django Reinhardt as well. This arrangement borrows from the Joe Pass version and brings together some 2-5-1 ideas you may have seen before, plus a few other things that might be new. So let's take a look at the arrangement. We begin with an F-7 chord. When we mentioned before the tune is in A flat major, this is actually the 6th chord. And we go 6, 2, 5, 1 in A flat major. So we're going to use just simple Trop 2 voicings, mainly because the melody sits really conveniently on the top of those voicings. So here, A flat is the melody, and then for B flat minor 7, a D flat on the top. If this shape looks a little unfamiliar, it's actually exactly the same voicing if I played B flat minor 7 like that, just on a different string set. To E flat 7 and A flat major 7. Same with this shape, it's the same voicing as this, just played on a different set of strings. The first 4 bars are fairly straightforward. And then the next 4 is where things get a little more interesting. So we go to D flat major 7, which is the 4 chord in A flat. And then straight away we get this 2-5 going to C major. So we're changing key here from A flat to C major. And there's a nifty little move here to get from A flat to C. So from this D flat major 7 chord, notice that to get to the D minor 7 flat 5, all we have to do is shift the bass note from D flat to D. And we have a D minor 7 flat 5. So, and then that launches us into our 2-5. So G7, that's the same voicing as here, just different string set again, to C major 7. At this point we have the next little twist in this tune. We have a 2-5 that we would expect to lead back to C major, but actually leads to C minor. And that takes us into the second A. Which is the same melody as the first A, but it's actually in a different key. So now we're in the key of E flat. As opposed to A flat in the first A. So similar voicings to before. And at this point I'm putting in a tritone substitution here. So from B flat 7 to E7. It's almost the same chord, we just changed the B flat root note to an E. And that leads us really nicely into the E flat major 7. I'm also using a slightly different voicing for the E flat major 7 here. instead of our usual drop 2, I've taken out the 5 and replaced it with a 3. And the reason behind that is because we get some nicer voice leading coming from the E7. So I'll play those 4 bars. So in the next 4 bars we get another little key change, similar to the first A section. So coming from A flat major 7, so again the 4 in E flat major. It's basically the same move here. A flat major 7 to A minor 7 flat 5, just moving the root note up a half step. Leads us to G major 7. And if you look at a chart of this song, at this point there's just 2 bars of G major, which to me is a little static, so I've just put a quick 2-5-1 in here. So if I play those 4 bars, it's going to sound like this. Given what happened at the end of the first A, we'd almost expect the bridge to go to G minor, but it actually stays in G major. We have this ascending melody. And for this A minor 7 chord, I'm making use of the open A string. And then the rest of the chord is the 3rd, 5th, 7th. When you have the 11th on top, D, which resolves down to the 3rd. And the next bar is kind of curious. The melody starts on the flat 9, the E flat, and then moves to the natural 9. Before jumping up to this C. So to harmonize that, I'm using this chord. And you might see and hear that as a diminished chord, which it is, but you can also think of it as a D7 flat 9 chord. In the context of D, it's the 5th, flat 9, 3rd, and flat 7. So it works really nicely as a D7 flat 9 voicing. And then that leads really nicely to G major 7. So here we have 2 bars of G major 7 again. And I could put another quick 2-5 in here. But instead I'm just opting to create a little root movement, just going to the 5 and then the 1. Before the next ascending melody, which takes us into the second half of the bridge. So here we have this colourful F sharp minor 11 chord. It's the same voicing as this minor 9, which you may have seen before, but the melody in this case is a B. So we can put that on top by barring, playing the A and the B with the bar. Also notice that getting into that chord, I'm barring the B in the bar before to make that transition a little easier. This chord is a little bit tricky to grab. You can always use this form of the chord and just play the melody here. But I'm opting for the more colourful minor 11. And then we move on to the B7. This is kind of unusual again. The melody is the major 7, a dominant 7 chord, but really it's just a passing note going to the root, and then we just have a simple B7 voicing, root, 3rd, 7th, leading us back to E major 7, and then this C7 flat 13. So I'll play the bridge. That C7 flat 13 chord is a really interesting move because we need a way of getting from the key of E major, where the bridge ends, back to the 6th chord of A flat, so F minor 7. And the way it happens in this song is through this C7 chord. So C7 is the 5 of F minor. So if we have a 2-5-1 going to F minor, it would be G minor 7, C7, F minor. So we're just taking the 5 chord, C7, and then borrowing the melody note from the E major 7. So the G sharp here becomes the flat 13 of C7. And then that leads us really nicely back to the beginning of the 3rd A. So the 3rd A starts in much the same way as the first. I've just added one little detail here. E flat 7, going to E flat 7 flat 5. And the reason behind that is that it leads really nicely to A flat major 7. We have some nice inner voice movement here. B flat to A flat. And then moving on, we have D flat major 7. And then a big jump in the melody here to this E flat. And I'm harmonizing it like this, kind of like a minor 6 chord with that 9th on top. If that's a little uncomfortable for you, you could play this chord, or even use your thumb here. I'm playing it like this, and that leads really nicely to a G flat 9. So in the original chart, this is just a D flat minor 7. But I kind of like adding that extra color of making a little mini 2-5 out of it. And then C minor. And B diminished 7. And here we have a little suspension in the melody. So this, where we end up at the end of this bar, is quite a common voicing for a diminished 7 chord. But to begin with, the melody is a G. So you can actually use this voicing in a lot of places where you would use a diminished 7 chord. It's a nice change of color from the usual diminished 7 chord. And that leads us down to B flat minor 7. And now we're into the last 4 bars of the tune. So here we have this ascending melody. It's just a D flat triad. To me, that's really calling for some extra harmonic movement. So we could just play it as a B flat minor 7, going to E flat 7. But I like putting a little more movement in there. So I've just harmonized this diatonically. D flat here, I'm putting in a passing chord. So an E13, which then drops down to an E flat 13. So if I play it without the melody, just a nice little passing chord getting us to that 5 chord of A flat. If we add in these ascending chords here, and then put that melody note F on top of the E flat 13, it's a nice little sequence to finish off the tune. And then we have to get up to an A flat here. So on the G, I'm using that same 7 flat 9 voicing. That's the same as a diminished chord. And then an A flat with an add 9, which might seem like a little bit of an odd choice, but a major 7 doesn't work so well here because the melody is the root. The 7, if we play the 7, it forms a minor 9, which can get a little bit crunchy. So I've just opted for this voicing here with 5, 9, 3, and then the root on top. So from the beginning of that sequence, and then we have almost a cheesy little ending. Just flat 5 to 5, and then 1, and then a major 13 chord. So notice that's very similar to our major 7 chord, but with an F on top. And you can also bar this to play a B flat, to play the 9 on top. So I'll play that ending again. So let's play the last A together so we can see how it all fits together. So thanks for checking this out. Hit me up with any questions you have, and be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with more transcriptions and other lessons. Thanks.